Welcome to this week of MX Unfiltered, Moto news from around the world. If you see, I'm definitely in the world. I'm just in Detroit, Michigan. And me being in Detroit is kind of like bread with no butter or jelly. It just doesn't go together. Anyway, we're still bringing the show to you, or I am, and I'm doing it live. So that is the point. Less editing right now and doing this straight from the Hilton Hotel, which I actually have a meeting with them later because of some stuff. Go Delta and CloudStrike, man, for canceling everybody's flight. But as usual, I digress. It is time to get into the news because there is some shakeup in World Supercross, along with the Australian Supercross and MXGP, MotoAmerica. No more Tour de France stuff. I know it's a bummer. No two-wheel motorcycles, because we do know that there has been accusations of guys not only doping, but having little brushless motors in their bicycles. Got the first comment right up here. Bro, appreciate it, dude. Appreciate it. Well, let's get into this right away. Here, let me share this screen and we will get into the biggest news as of right now. Yeah, this is what I want to see. So change that. Boom, boom, boom. So we've got Tom Brunwell is named the new World FIM Supercross CEO. This is a guy that has been a director for Formula One and also the former Emirates Dubai 7S, which is, I believe, that is a rugby team. So it's interesting. We all know Adam no longer the CEO of this stuff. There's been accusations of overspending, and it's kind of a bummer because he's the dude that brought everything together, and it's his baby. It was his goal. However, we still want this sucker to live, and the WSX is now somewhat like fighting between World Supercross, where they used to be together, but now they're separate entities, which in the long run, competition breeds innovation, and I am somewhat for having more series here. There's big issues between what has gone on with MX Sports and Glenn Helen and that big fight dynamic. There's a good podcast out there that I believe was released last week with Jace, who's now back in Australia, showing what both sides were. So I commend him for the outstanding journalism that he has been doing. But here, this thickens because with the WSX that's coming, you've got bigger hitters. You've got Jet and Hunter racing this sucker. And now you've got Cooper Webb coming over there. So the WSX is different from World Supercross, even though the Australian Supercross Championship is what pretty much birthed the baby of World Supercross. So they are clashing. Now you also have with the MXGP to motocross to supercross, everyone is clashing. I love to see it. I love to see so much competition in this Marvel Stadium. They've got the biggest track that they've ever had. This is going to be a banger, but it is not on the World Supercross schedule. And my reasoning is, at least what I am interpreting, is because Adam Bailey and World Supercross had a giant falling out. And boom, now they are entities that are fighting each other. So I want to know what you guys think about that. But also in other news here, let me just check real quick to make sure that I am showing this stuff. Ooh, look at that. That is pretty interesting. Boom, boom, boom. Seeing multiple faces of Johnny. Not a bad looking dude, if I don't say so myself. But Epstein Barr. This is what I hear, what I see this. Is it sucks. I'm kind of speechless. He's having some blood tests this week to get to the bottom line of his struggles of someone going backwards. We've seen massive riders with Ken Roxon and Chad Reed, and I could probably name a few others, but now potentially Hunter is going through with this. And so to me, this just screams Epstein Barr. Let's hear what he has to say.
Like just plain and simple. So I don't know if it's the repercussions of that just kind of dragging on, if it's some other stuff. You know, we're still working very hard, maybe working a little too much during the week. Long season. So yeah, we're going to go back to the drawing board because yeah, it's
long season. back to the drawing board. Not sure if I'm working too hard. Very interesting. And with this race coming up here August 10th at Unadilla, you got the boy, the Suzuki underdog, the Kickstart Kenny coming back potentially. And this is the race that I believe, no, was it High Point? Maybe it was High Point last year where he was somewhat beating Jet until he made some mistakes, but he was the only real contender. Is this going to be the guy that can put Sexton out of his moto win streak? Because there was another dude that had a pretty good moto win streak, and that was Hurlings. Hurlings ended up winning the first moto for his 200th race win for the 450 class there at the Czech Republic. And then he ended up having issues in Moto 2, going down twice. And I believe he was a 1-4 for a third overall. Geiger ended up getting the win over Prado. And Prado is somewhat losing this championship. It is falling underneath him, where Geiger is making it happen. And it's good to see Hurlings come back. So the official, oh, not quite to that yet. The official results were Tim with a 3-1, Prado with a 2-2, Hurlings with a 1-4. And if I want to talk about this sucker, man, boy, don't I wish I was 13 years old again. I mean, I still feel 13 with the hair loss, the white hair. I mean, honestly, that's contradicting itself, because at 13, you'd never had those problems. Oh, nowadays, people are growing up much faster. And with, I'm getting off on a tangent here. My point is this bike looks sexy. Sexy AF. Just plain and simple. This sucker, it looks awesome. I remember having a limited edition KTM 105, and there's lots of things wrong with that motorcycle. It ended up seizing on me, and I have some gnarly scars up my back from, the rear wheel of that bad boy, along with, anyway, it was a scenario. The rotor ended up breaking in half, and it created all sorts of issues. But this sucker looks freaking awesome, and it is a new look. Okay, I get it. The look looks good, right? And updated body style. Okay, yep. All new frame and new X-Act shock. So new frame and new shock. To me, that is something that we like to see. It's interesting that these guys haven't completely gone four-stroke. And what I mean by that is, here, let me get back to my other deal here for the live. Oh, I just exited out of that. Oh, that's fun. Boom, boom, boom. So let's remove this real quick. What it will be interesting is if we see the little bikes go electric, which we've already been seeing. I know everybody hates this new wave of happening, but the 50s are going electric. Now you almost have 65s. The Stark has 80 horsepower. You don't think they can make that smaller to make it have 30 horsepower for an 85, which would be a freaking hauling effing ass 85. But the four strokes, the 150, the last real push I saw of those guys was Justin Barcia. Justin Barcia was really the last guy that I saw full-blown commercials with riding a 150 four-stroke that was competing in the 85 class. They're heavy. It's heavy. And with an electric bike, I believe that we will see more electric 85s and whatnot out there before the four strokes come back. So looking back at here, let me get back there and go back to where I was. These guys are on the way out. This bike looks sweet, but we're just waiting for the new age. And yes, people don't like to hear it. And I'll look at some of the comments once I get done with the partial show here. It's not about us. It's not about the millennials and the Gen Xers. It's more about our children, and they are being raised on electric dirt bikes. They're going to be the ones that are going to not necessarily be brainwashed by the technology, because I personally think it's better technology, because my background, I got hurt a lot mechanically. And if you take away some of those stuff, you could just focus more on the fun. That's why I really like bicycles at the moment, is because, oh, you want to go do a 4-hour ride? Sweet. Just throw some chain lube on there and you go ride. Make sure that your DI-12 is charged and you're ready to go. There is no, oh man, I got to change the air filter. Oh man, got gas? Oh man, I need a new chain. Oh man, sprockets, tires. I mean, some of that stuff is still with the bicycles, but you get my point. Cams, things of that nature, pistons, all sorts of stuff within the internals blowing up. But I'm kind of taking too much time off of this as far as the Revolution. I really didn't even plan on talking about that much. But we had the Sprint Enduro World Championship, where it's a 3-day Sprint Enduro Championship, and Johnny ends up taking the win on all those. So congratulations, dude, and really like your name. It is a beautiful, beautiful name, you know, even though John is somewhat named after the toilet. Johnny, however, just a little bit of changing, just that end Y there makes all the difference. At Laguna Seca, yes, this is a little bit old, but these guys just aired on TV. It was a great race. You got Cameron and Josh fighting for the first race. And the second race, it was all Josh Herron. And these guys are riding fast. It's not MotoGP stuff. But you know what? MotoAmerica, I don't know what they've been doing, but for them to have 21 riders is huge out there. Like to see JD Beach still being competitive. He ended up not finishing here. I remember honestly taking that little kid out when he was like 11 years old when we were doing, it was like the Supermoto stuff. You were racing for like a 100 XR. And I ended up having to start from the back row. I had the fastest qualifying time and I was up front, and I ended up taking this kid out, and they didn't like it because it was sponsored by Honda. So they made me start in the back, and I ended up not qualifying to race Alessi's in the Vegas final because of it. So, and it wasn't really anything. He rated to the back of me, but I kind of brake checked him. But anyway, good to see that he's doing well here. And in somewhat closing, this is awesome. All right. You guys should go to this YouTube channel, this Cam Works, Moto Dads official series. And they follow a lot of the top little guys. And it is really cool to see. I am in love with this series. And look, it says that I am not even subscribed here. Boom. Now I'm subscribed. You guys should go do it too. This is epic here that they have this.
Stopped going lately. We've had a van issue, so we can't go, and it's, you know, we keep worrying how's he going to do when we get to the races, but it seems to be working. Now he just kind of rides the Sur-Ron at home and plays with his brother, and I mean, it's just time on a bike, and he's developing skills, and I can even see the skills that he's gaining on the Sur-Ron. I can see him applying that on the motorcycle at the races, and so far it's working. I'm just
awesome series. You guys should really check that out. And pretty much that is what I have for this week in moto from around the world. So here, because I'm live, I want to make sure that I look at some of the comments here, and then we will let go. Oh, so of course, you know, gotta love it, Brop. Oh yeah, it's live and I made it. Everhart's Outdoor. Yeah, good to see you, dude. Good to see you, dude. Dun, dun, dun. All right, looking at this stuff. Mental health thing. Prayers free. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Okay. So I love steel frames. Absolutely love steel frames. I believe that they flex more, and so it helps with arm pump. If you have a traditional Austrian bike like Honda and Yamaha, they're just real stiff and rigid. That steel frame moves. I really like it. It's almost like the difference between when you have a traditional handlebar with a crossbar and then you have just the fat bar. I like the fat bar more because it moves better rather than having that rigid feeling of the crossbar. Because with my analysis and stuff, you're supposed to ride a motorcycle with your legs, and the arms are just somewhat there. But we all end up having our butthole pucker or something where we end up holding on really, really tight. So whatever you can get the bike to stretch a little bit, I believe that it is helpful, especially if you're lighter. And everyone knows my views on weight distribution with the bikes, where you need to be heavier depending upon what weight class you're in. On an 85, if you could be, I would say the max weight you want to be on like an 85 is 130 pounds, right? In the 250 class, 130 to 160 is really where you want to be, ideally above that 145 to 155 range, so that you can somewhat manhandle the bike. On the 450, we've seen it time and time again with Sexton, with AC, with Jet, and Hunter. These guys gain 15, 20 pounds, and keep an eye out for Deegan to gain 20 or so pounds in the off season if he in fact goes to 450 here in a year or two. That is just something that you need to pay attention to. And Everhart says that Hunter is tired. It's clear. Dude, what is this, 33 races? Guys, that is ridiculous to try to every weekend, not with just the travel or whatnot, just keep going. Like, I'm exhausted from the travel here. I'm stuck in Detroit for 4 days because of these stupid flights being canceled, you know, and that's partially why I have a meeting downstairs with the Hilton executives, because they know that I am upset about the deal. And Chris says Ducati. Yep, they are coming to America, I believe, in 2026. And Ryan, they've groomed electric already. They only need to make a few size of the chassis. I believe it, dude. I completely believe it. It's unfortunately, it's taking over. And yeah, you know, love them or hate them, you need to know what's about to happen so that you can interpret and run with it, not be blindsided by it. So everyone out there that is thinking that these things aren't going to last and the government's not going to let it, just it's better to have low expectations, because then you can't get disappointed. If your expectation is they're going to survive and take over, you're going to be better off. And I like this one. This is a good one from Ethan. It's easier to get kids into the sport with those electric bikes, 100%. And I could see having this stuff open up to having tracks right off the side of most roads now again, and by major developments in houses where these guys are okay. There's no, what are they called? They're usually called covenants, where, oh, if you buy a house and you want to buy, you know, that's the American dream, right? At least for motocross, buy a house and have some acres and make a motocross track. Come to find out, you get subpoenaed because your covenants say that you're not allowed to have any loud noises on there. Well, if you have electric bikes, that's where you can kind of just go J-law it and throw your finger to the air and be like, dude, these things don't make any noise. How do you govern an electric 85? That is a good question. I don't know. Deegs. Yep, definitely number one. I didn't talk really much about American motocross. Sexton is owning it, and Deegan's is basically owning it. He has surpassed Tom Vial. Tom Vial at the last race there at Washougal had a perfect opportunity to go 1-1. Deegs ended up crashing in the second moto, but Tom let him by, and I don't mean that by letting him by. He totally just couldn't keep up with him, and Deegan's kind of did the FU thing to him over the jump, and Tom didn't have anything for him. So Tom, if he can keep his mistakes down, there wouldn't be such a substantial lead that Hayden would have on the entire series. But even with his massive mistakes, he's continued to excel. And Tom has had massive mistakes, and he hasn't been able to compound quite as well as his counterpart or his rival. Electric quads, I don't even know about electric quads. Sure, they're like electric cars. I don't like them. Whatever. All right. Yeah, maybe that was a bad analogy. Filling tanks only takes a minute. Yes, but you know what doesn't? Changing valves, piston updates. If the clutch plates need to be replaced, there's lots of maintenance every 10, 15 hours on a dirt bike. Changing oil. I used to change oil on my dirt bike every time I rode, and it got expensive, and it was a bummer. And I just wanted to put the motorcycle up and go to the gym or hang out with other people. There's so much maintenance involved that is a bummer, which is the biggest thing that I love about e-bikes. But what I hate about e-bikes is the feeling in the air with no engine braking and not having a clutch is god awful to ride. You're like, what is this? It's just twist it and go. It's a little disheartening. All right, who's somebody I haven't answered their question? I'll take my 2003 YZ250F 4-stroke. Man, that's almost, it's been a while since I've ridden one of those. What was it? Was it the 1998 or 2000 YZ400 that sucker would break your leg trying to start? But no, those are still good bikes. Those are still good bikes. Never cut my crossbar, and I'm old. No, I'm just talking about bars that don't have a crossbar, right? They just come as fat bars where it almost looks like a freestyle handlebar, right? It's got a big pad on there. Those are the ones that I really like because they move. And yes, you can't really physically push them down and move, but if you were to minutely have them in a lab or some way of actually showing the flex in them, they definitely flex. Oh, okay. Ethan says that 165 pounds and 5'8" tall. Okay, it sounds like you're pretty stacked. Good enough for a 450. I'm 149 pounds, 5'9", and I'm still heavier than I have been for my 450. The majority of my career, I was 125 to 135, and that was way too light, way too light, way too light. Yeah, heck yeah. Push that like button. And by the way, with that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps out this channel for sure. And yeah, you know, I like it. And so here, what do you think? Oh, okay, here. This will be the last one. What do you think about BMX for training, and will you watch the BMX in the Olympics? All right, that's 2 wheels, right? Bicycle motocross. Bicycle motocross. Yeah, I want to watch the BMX in the Olympics. I also want to watch the stage in the Olympics. I want to watch gymnastics in the Olympics because of my wife. But for training, I think it's great. You learn how to soak it up. You're still on the bike rather than being clipped in, but you're still learning the whole preload. And the only difference is having the foot pegs, pedals being right there. But these guys have massive leg strength. And I wonder what some of the top BMXers can put through some watts, because it's a sheer sprint down their 30-second deal. So nice comment. Nice comment. But hey, guys, that is it for the live show. Appreciate every single one of you 2-wheel knuckleheads. Make sure you stay tuned. I will been working on the video for the track analysis of Washougal, and it might not be until Thursday or Friday because I am stuck because of this darn cloud strike crap stuff. Yeah, and then I've got my own personal views as far as from cryptography. If it was smart contracts that was like on the blockchain of networks, this wouldn't happen because there would have been a redundancy available, because code is law, and you wouldn't have the security company doing an update and taking everybody out, including Microsoft. I saw a little meme of Microsoft 364 because it's not 365. Anyway, till next time.